Oh yeah, what's up ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 54 of the Sailor Jerry podcast. My name is Matt Cothran. I am still your host. Today is Thursday, January 26th, 2023. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, Sailor Jerry Spiced Rum is still made the old school way, 92 proof, bold, and smooth as hell. I hope everybody out there is doing good. January has almost come and gone. Time, like always, moving way too fast. But life is good. Lots of stuff popping onto the Bronx radar in regards to shows and festivals and tours. We got Punk in the Park coming up March 25th in Ventura, California. That's with Suicidal Tendencies, Pennywise, a bunch of awesome punk rock bands. And Ventura is always a little bit looser than anywhere else on the planet. So looking forward to that one. We got Sonic Temple and Welcome to Rockville festivals in May. We got Tour with Rancid coming up through Europe in the summertime. The Flogging Molly cruise just got announced. That's in November. So lots of cool stuff popping up. If you want to grab tickets for any of those things, just head to thebronx.com with 3 X's, BRONXXX.com. Get your tickets. One other cool thing going on, you might notice the top of my head if you are watching on YouTube. That is the new Sailor Jerry Ebbets Vintage wool cap. Look at that. That is pretty fucking sick. You can grab those at SailorJerry.com. There's like 4 of them. One of them sold out already, so act fast, ladies and gentlemen. You know, resolution-wise, I'm on track. Your boy is doing the work. I'm eating right. I'm getting some exercise, and I'm playing guitar. So I hope everybody else out there is sticking to the path as well. That's all I got for you this week. Awesome episode, so let's get right to it. It's time for episode 54. Tony Esposito is the guitarist and lead singer for Louisville rock outfit White Reaper. In this episode, we take a look under the hood of their brand new album, Asking for a Ride. We also look back at Tony's own musical journey, the band's punk rock roots, touring with Pearl Jam, mainstream rock and roll success, and so much more. This is a stacked episode. Tony's a great guy, and White Reaper is one of my favorite bands. So sit back, relax, pour yourself some Sailor Jerry, and let's go! What up, my man? How you doing?
Doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem, man. No problem. I'm a big fan of the band, first and foremost.
Thank you.
Very stoked to have you on the Sailor Jerry podcast here. And you guys are in a great spot right now because Asking for a Ride comes out January 27th. And, releasing a record into the wild as a band is a mixed bag of emotions. It could be nerve-wracking, of course, exciting, of course. What's the vibe in the band right now? How's everyone feeling heading up to the release of the record?
We feel great. We're really just more than anything, we're just excited to finally do a proper tour, because it's been since before the world ended. So we're super excited. We're over the moon. We couldn't be happier.
Right on, man. Yeah, I bet. I was going to ask you about that because, You Deserve Love, major label debut. I mean, that record got fucked by COVID, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. You could definitely say that.
Because it came out right before, 4 months before the shutdown, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. It came out October 2019. So, yeah, October, November, December Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, because that's like I was thinking about that because we had some stuff lined up at that point, and there's so much work that goes into the record, writing a record, recording a record. I know that must have been probably a frustrating experience to kind of have that happen to you guys. So. Does this record feel a little bit more like a redemption? Like you're saying, you're back, White Reaper's back, you're going out on tour, that type of vibe?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I always said though, like, I didn't feel like totally screwed by COVID because everybody was, and
True.
it was like, it felt less like this thing that happened to us, like we got screwed because like the entire world was just completely
Yeah.
like ruined. So
Yeah,
we
it's
didn't
good,
take it
good to
too
keep
hard.
things in perspective like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Right on, man. Before we dive into the details of the new record, I kind of want to, take it back to the beginning because, White Reaper has a lot of incredible influences. And I kind of want to dive into your history and background with music, and just kind of give our listeners a little background on you as a songwriter and as the singer and guitarist in the band. So if we can go back to the beginning a little bit here, you're a Louisville guy, right?
Yep, Louisville all the way.
Hell yeah, hell yeah. What was it like growing up there?
It was pretty cool. Like I realize that now. Like when I was in high school, I was like, man, can't wait to get out of here, man. This place sucks. Like every kid thinks of their hometown. And then Nick and I, who plays drums in our band, we went to a college for like a couple weeks just because we were like, let's get out of Louisville. And the first weekend we moved in, we took a Greyhound back to Louisville to like play a show. And then that same night, we took another Greyhound at like 4 a.m. to get back to school, which was a little south of Nashville. And we got back to school at like 8 a.m., had classes in like an hour. And we both just went to bed. And when we woke up, we're like, no one's like banging on the door, like checking on us. Like they don't care that we skipped. And that was pretty much it. And we left as soon as we could. And we were just like, let's just start the band.
Yeah, right on, man. Right on. Yeah, our bass player Brad is from Louisville, and I've been there a bunch of times, and there's something special about it. But and you got the L on, obviously. What is it about the Ville that like people who are from there, whether it's Harlow or guys like Brad, guys like yourself, it's all about representing where you're from.
I mean, I think it just doesn't get enough credit. I don't know. It's skipped over, like even on most tours, most people don't stop in Louisville. Most people don't really know what it's like. Most people have never been. So it's like, I don't know. You got to rep.
Yeah, yeah. No, I back that. You got, go Cards, man. I mean, I think, I think Louisville's a sick city, man. It's a beautiful place. It's funny. We used to always. Do you know the Cage the Elephant guys at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're. I don't know if they're like Lexington guys or whatever, but the drummer Jared is all time classic, and him and Brad used to go back and forth on tour all the time about Louisville. It's just nonstop. So for everybody listening out there, you got to go to Louisville.
Come on down. Check it out.
What about your immediate family? Any music or artistry in the family growing up?
My mom is a very talented pianist, and she has a little music school that she teaches out of her house to like, I think it's to kids like age 4 to like 9 or something like that. So she has all these little kids come over, and their parents are there, and she's teaching them like scales and that type of thing. And she's super talented, like sight reader. And so that's got to be where it comes from. Because like when I was growing up, I really wanted to play drums because I loved Hootie and the Blowfish of all people.
Oh yeah.
And the drummer, I think his name was Casey, or no, Sonny. And I thought he looked so cool with like his long ass hair. And I was like, I want to play drums. I want to grow my hair out. And she was like, if you're going to play drums, you have to play piano for a year first. And I was like, okay, whatever it takes, I'll do it.
Yeah, whatever's going to get me closer to Hootie.
Yeah. Whatever I need to do. And so 1 year piano turned into like 3 years, and every Christmas I was like, can I get drums? Finally, I think when I was in 4th grade, they got me a drum set, and I was so stoked. And, you know, I was doing lessons and everything. And then they signed me up for the church band so I could, like, you know, play with other kids. And that's how I met Ryan, who plays keys in our band.
Yeah.
And then when I was in 5th grade, I went to a different school, and that's when I met the twins. And we started hanging out. And then I saw Nick play drums, and he was way better than me. So I was like, I guess I'll try bass or maybe guitar.
Well, you know, piano is one of those instruments, man. It's like once you learn how to play piano, you can kind of play almost anything. You know what I mean? And especially it translates super well to guitar as well. What kind of music were you listening to growing up? Outside of Hootie, of course.
Yeah.
I'm imagining you with like a Hootie poster on your wall. Dude, I remember when Hold My Hand hit, dude. It was a legit banger.
Dude, it still is. It holds up. I think for me and the twins especially, it was the Tony Hawk soundtrack.
Dude,
that turned us on to punk and everything, and you know, like the Adolescents, and I don't know if the Germs were ever on the soundtrack, but we found them, and Black Flag, of course, and Circle Jerks and all that stuff. So we were like, we're punks now, because you know we did like a McTwist on a video game, and so we got super into that, and that's kind of what it was all throughout high school. You know, like huge Misfits phase, never really ended. Ramones, of course. Yeah, we were just listening. We were like, we're punk kids, dyeing our hair and all that kind of thing, and like cutting up our clothes, and you know, just the classic stuff. And so we started like a little Minor Threat type band, like 1 minute songs, and that was how we played our first shows. So that's what it was.
That's legit, man. Were you always inclined to sing, or were you like, how did you kind of build your confidence as a songwriter? Because when did you kind of first pick up a guitar and start messing around with it?
So in our little hardcore punk band, I was playing bass. Oh. And I remember just being so nervous, like just playing in front of people. And after we did that for a couple of years, I was like, you know, I kind of want to write like some of my own songs and maybe even try singing on them, you know. And it was just kind of like that thing. I just kind of got used to playing in front of people, and then sort of like grew, I guess, the confidence from there. And then maybe like my senior year of high school, I remember I had the day off because my mom took me to like visit some college. I think it was like Northern Kentucky or something. And I was like, do I have to go back to school when this is over? And she was like, no. So I went home and like recorded my first like demo. I like brought the drums in the living room because that's where the family computer was, and just recorded everything. I was like, this is kind of fun. This is pretty sick. I think I'm going to try to do this a lot.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. And it's that's such a cool time, you know, when you're first kind of attempting to write a song, you know what I mean? I mean, it's great because it's like completely undiscovered country, so to speak, and your energy's going all into this kind of vibe, and it's just building and building and building. In the Minor Threat band, were you the main songwriter? No,
it was super like collaborative. Like it was we would be in the twins' basement, just like, what if we did this for like a little bit, and then what if after that? I mean, I don't know what's after that. And then the next guy would be like, well, what if we did this then? And we're like, okay. Okay. So it was just kind of like that, just kind of slowly, like whoever had the next idea is what we did.
Yeah, right on, man, right on. And how did that band evolve into White Reaper? Because Reaper started in what, 2012?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. for sure.
Over 10 years. That's pretty badass, man.
That's crazy. It's really, it makes me feel super old. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess it was like, so it was the hardcore punk thing for a while. And then I guess around that time I went on that college trip. I was super, super heavy into Jay Reatard and like,
oh, yeah.
just kind of reading about him. And there was like this awesome documentary that came out at the time. And it just kind of showed him like recording and writing everything like in the moment, just kind of like going. And I was like, I think I could probably do that with a little practice. And I guess his stuff was a little more intricate on guitar. And I was like, I guess I wanted to challenge myself in that way than just a bunch of power chords, you know? But I think that's when it happened, just like the bridge from hardcore punk to whatever Jay Reatard is. I mean, because that's really who I was just ripping him off so hard.
Yeah. And there's no shame in that, man. He was amazing, dude. R.I.P. of course to Jay Reatard.
Yeah.
Did you ever see him live?
No, I was too young. I missed the boat.
Yeah, I saw him once. It was awesome. Did you ever see the video of him punching that dude in the face?
No.
Dude, there's an epic video of him. Like, dude, he's like shredding, and this dude like is crowd surfing towards the front of the stage. And like I think he kind of gets up and pushes Jay, and then he jumps back in the crowd, and then he starts like coming back over again, and Jay grabs him and he just decks him right in the face, and it's so amazing, dude. It's so amazing. He was great because he was like, you know, he was unpredictable like that. Like he was kind of a wild card, you know. And I always dig that about people who you might not necessarily suspect, you know, especially in today's world. There's not a lot of room for wild cards like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, that definitely drew me to him, was like the attitude, I guess. And he sort of just had this like confidence and swagger that was just like, I just do what I do. Like if anyone's, you know, against it, then like I'll take care of it, just whatever. Like I thought that was cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, early on in the band's kind of the early stages of White Reaper, how was the evolution? Was it like, you know, like, was there a moment when you guys were like, okay, like we got the demo out, we got, when was the first EP? Like shortly after that, right?
I think that was 2014. Yeah.
Okay.
2014.
So after that, you know, Polyvinyl, you guys get mixed in with Polyvinyl, which is an awesome label. Good people there.
Oh yeah, big time.
What was your experience like then? Because that's like a, you know, I mean, that's a really cool thing for, you know, I mean, that's what you want as a band. You want to get signed, you want to have people notice, and you want your band to become like a real thing. So what was that kind of era like for you guys?
At that time, I feel like it was just Nick and I in the band, and then this guy was like, I want to be your manager. And we were like, manager? Like, what is that?
I like how you say this guy, like he just like showed up out of the alleyway.
Well, he like messaged us on Facebook. That's how long ago it was. It was like Facebook message. And so we go to his house, and he like tells us all, he was like, I want to get you guys signed to a label. And Nick and I are just there, and we're like, we'll think about it. We leave his apartment and just like sidebar outside, and we're like, should we do this? And we're both like, yeah, I think we should probably do this. And then we just bang on his door and go back in. We're like, all right, we're in. And he was like, great. I'll see you guys later this week. And we left. And he was like, I think I can get you guys signed to Polyvinyl. And we were like, okay, like, let's see it. Like we were like, no way, but you know, whatever. And so he gets us this audition show in Champaign where Polyvinyl's based. And we go up and play, and we asked Sam, Nick's brother, to come with us play bass. And we go up there, and like, was not the best show of ours. And we were like, man, we ruined everything. Like, this was our one shot. And we get in the car, and Zach was his name. And he was, I think this is actually really cool that he did this, but he was like, he was managing expectations, and he was like, there's no way they're going to sign you guys after that. And so we're like driving home all bummed. were like, man, we really messed up. And then the next week they sent the contract. We were like,
no way.
Yeah.
That's fucking great, man. That had to have been an exciting time as a band. You guys must have been on cloud nine.
Oh yeah, that was everything. That was like, I felt like we beat the game, you know? I was like, that was it. I was stoked. I had no expectations or like hopes of what would come after that, you know? In my mind, I was just like, we did it. How did we do it? I don't know, but we did.
Yeah, man, that's dope. There's a kind of a similar story with the Bronx. It's pretty funny. Like when we, we were getting going, and we had like a couple different major labels like into us, and we ended up signing a deal with Island Def Jam for a record. And I mean, dude, we were still like figuring out. We'd all been playing in a bunch of different bands, but it was kind of, we were still gelling as a band ourselves. Like we got signed kind of super early on like the last little crumbling of like the At the Drive-In frenzy where labels were just like signing, they were just like signing everything. But so we get signed by Island, and our A&R guy, Rob Stevenson, we had a show, it was like a benefit show for a friend at House of Blues Anaheim. And at this time in my life, I was like just not in a good place. Okay. So we signed this deal, and he comes to this show, and I ended up showing late to this show. I was just all over the place. And dude, I go to sing like the first note, and my voice is just like, I mean, dude, it's horrible. So we're like playing this, we're playing this show, man. And I'm just like, the whole time I'm just like, oh my God, this is a nightmare. He's going to lose our record deal, whatever. And so anyways, he comes out backstage after the show, and he goes, well, at least I can say I've seen your worst show. And it was just like, thank God it's over, but it moves on. It's like, you guys, it's always weird in that stage where it's like showcase, or if you're not doing a showcase where you have label interest and you have these shows that are so important, but at the end of the day, it's just a show. And a real label, a real, music head, a real manager, anyone's going to realize, what's great about the band isn't going to be figured out in one show. So it's cool that Polyvinyl saw that in you guys, and kind of set the trajectory, because that's a great first label for a band to be on. You got White Reaper Does It Again comes out in 2015, first full length, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, Make Me Want to Die, one of the greatest kickoffs to an album in a long time. That song rips, dude. That song is so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. How did it feel, like getting that first full length under your belt?
I mean, it was just another one of those things, like getting signed. It was just like, God, we're unstoppable. God, we're the best. We recorded a fucking full length, man. Who's going to stop us? And just being that young, and I think we were like 19 or 20. So a lot of the tours that we were going on and the places we were playing would let us in like 5 minutes before to like set everything up, play, and then 5 minutes after to get everything out. But we couldn't stay because we weren't 21. But I thought it was pretty fun to kind of do that, just like in and out, and just like, all right, let's beg someone to let us sleep on their floor. But that was an incredible feeling. And we recorded it with Kevin Ratterman, who was awesome. He was a Louisville legend, and he had this awesome studio. Like, it was, I don't know what it was before, but it was just this big, wide open room. And he was just so sweet to us and like supportive, and a huge part of our evolution, I think, as a band.
That's really cool, man. That's dope when you have people like that along the way who play their part, and kind of getting you guys where you need to go. What's up with the manifestation of the ambitious early album titles? White Reaper Does It Again, the world's best American band. What? Because it's like it plays perfect, because it's a little bit cocky, but it's also not really that cocky. But it's like, you guys are also backing it up. I mean, so what was the vibe of naming those records that way?
we just thought it was funny. We thought it would be really funny to name the debut record "Does It Again," and then we thought it would be even funnier to call ourselves the best American band. We just thought it was funny, and like in our minds, we were like, if somebody like sees that in a store, they're gonna be like, "What? No fucking way!" And at least just like look at it. I guess that was our thought. But I mean, yeah, it was just a joke to us. Like we really just were cracking up.
No, it's great, man. It's awesome. I love it. And you know, so 2017, Bronx were on tour with Against Me in Europe, and we're backstage, and I hear you know, some music coming out of Against Me's dressing room, and it's I go in and talking to Laura Jane Grace. I'm like, who is this? This sounds awesome. And she's like, oh, this is White Reaper. And
Wow.
I was like, that's a fucking cool name. And she's like, yeah, they just put out a new record. It's fucking awesome. And that was World's Best American Band. And so that's how I first got into you guys, was through her. And then I went down the rabbit hole, got the first record, and I ended up coming home from that tour, and I saw you guys play at the Constellation Room in Orange County. But yeah, so that was a breakout record for you guys, Best American Band, because you got a lot of love, you know, off of Judy French, Eagle Beach, Little Silver Cross. I mean, that record's so good.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. You know, did it feel, you know, did you kind of feel things like changing for the better on that record? Did it feel like you guys were kind of going someplace?
For sure. I think it was when we did like our first headlining tour after that record, and just kind of like seeing how many people would come to see us. Like, I mean, we definitely felt like it was a step up for sure. And it was super exciting. 'Cause like, again, like I feel like had already just been blown away by everything we'd done before that point. So it was just really flattering and honestly surprising that people gave a shit at all, you know? So that was a really fun time in our lives. And that was also the time that we added Hunter, our lead guitarist, to the band.
Yeah.
So when we recorded World's Best, we just like booked 30 days in Kevin's studio.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you about this. Is it true you had nothing going into the studio?
Okay, so I had like 3 voice memos on my iPhone, and we were like, fuck it, let's just go in the studio and make a record, dude. And I never want to do that again, but I'm glad that we did it that time.
Yeah.
And again, like, I just gotta throw it up to Kevin, because he like seriously guided through that horrible decision that we made. So we like booked those 30 days, and we were getting to the end of it. You know, we wrote and arranged a lot of these songs, and then it was like, all right, we got to write lyrics now. And we were like, we also had South by coming up, so we were like, maybe we should just like stop for a minute and just like go to South by, kind of like refresh a little bit. And through like a friend of a friend, we found a place to stay in Austin for the week, and it was Hunter's house. And just like one morning, we just like heard him playing guitar, and we were like, holy shit, dude, you want to be in our band? And he was like, I'll think about it. And so we go back, finish the record, and then a couple months later, he like flies up to Louisville. We just chill in our practice spot. Hunter and I got super fucked up and just played guitar together like all night. Yeah. And he was like, yeah, I think I want to do this. And we were like, great. And then we set out on the tour for that album. And that was definitely one of the best times in our band. I look back on that time like super, super fondly.
Yeah, right on, man. And yeah, shout out to Hunter and the rest of the guys too. That had to feel good to get that, you know, to get that second guitar boost, you know, because that's, you know, I mean, it's essential for a badass rock and roll band. You need that lead guitar that's just out there just shredding.
Oh yeah. It took a lot of the pressure off me, which was great.
Yeah. I know, right? Because as you're writing records and writing songs, you're evolving. I'm imagining, you know, there's more depth to what you're doing and what you want to do sonically on a record. And there's nothing worse than when like you create like this crazy badass like layered song or whatever, and then you're just like, oh shit, how am I gonna do this live by myself?
Exactly. That's what it was, because that was like our first time dabbling with the, like, as many people call it, the Thin Lizzy guitar harmonies.
Yeah,
I was like, these are just gonna not be there unless we beg this kid to play with us.
yeah. And that's, I feel like when you guys first started doing those harmonies, like a bunch of like older rock heads were like, who's this band?
Oh, for sure. They came flocking immediately.
Yeah, for sure, man. Because, well, I mean, you guys, one of the things I love about your band is that when it comes to influences, you guys create more of a feeling than necessarily a sound. Now, obviously, with the guitar harmonies, that's a specific sound. People hear that and it reminds them of, like either Thin Lizzy or, something like Judas Priest or something like that. But more than that, like when I listen to you guys, you could feel your influences, but you're not like ripping off songs or melodies, or like the songs are your own. And that's what I think is really, really cool about you guys. Like, when I was listening to like Judy French, it's like the intro reminded me of like Dance the Night Away by Van Halen, and they sound nothing like each other, but it's the vibe, It's just that vibe. And it's like, you guys are so good at that. And it's cool because a lot of people take their influences and they overplay them. You know what I mean? It's like they'll take the exact riff or the exact melody or sometimes the fucking exact lyrics, and it's just they overplay their hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you guys are you first, and then you create this vibe of like people who love bands like Van Halen or Thin Lizzy or just whatever. I mean, there's so much. There's glam in what you guys do. There's obviously pop, there's punk, there's rock and roll, there's metal. Where does the metal come from? Is that you?
Dude, that's me, man. That's me. And it's nice because I can think of it and then get Hunter to play it, because I am not that good. But that's me, man. My favorite band is Judas Priest. Over the pandemic, I slipped into this gigantic Metallica rabbit hole, and we all got together, and I was like forcing the guys to like watch Some Kind of Monster and the making of the Black Album, and I was like, I felt like I was punishing them, and then they were like, actually this is sick, and I was like, okay, great. And yeah, that's me, man. I'm super stoked on heavy ass riffs and that kind of thing. Like that's like most of what I listen to is just Judas Priest, like Annihilator, Metallica, obviously. Just like, I love that shit. I love that 80s shit so much.
Oh, it's the best, dude. It's the best. I grew up on that shit. My sister was super into metal, and I grew up on her record collection, and it was all just like Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and Motorhead, and a lot of the more Sunset Strip rock stuff too, like Motley Crue and all those bands, dude. I love that shit too. Going into You Deserve Love, okay? You guys get signed to Elektra. What was that? What was the major label deal like going down? How was that for you guys? That must have been a big step for you.
It was crazy. We kind of abused the sharks swimming around in the pool, like at the end of the world's best American band cycle. So like there would always be labels taking us out to like steakhouses and flexing on us. And it was like, how many more steak dinners can we get before we have to make a decision type thing? But it was Elektra, like bar none. Our A&R at the time, Dave Rath, was just like so cool and such an instrumental part of our process throughout You Deserve Love. Like he like really took an interest and a passion, I would say, in our band, and which was different because like Polyvinyl just let us do whatever we were going to do, and Dave really had like strong ideas about which songs were going to be singles and whatnot and that sort of thing. So that was different for us because Polyvinyl was just like, what do you want? You know, like, what do you guys want? And we were like, probably this one, you know, or whatever. But yeah, and that, I mean, I also look back on that time super fondly, and I definitely felt the pressure of like, these songs need to be probably a little poppier, but that was just something totally that I made up in my head. You know, there was no push from label to do that. That was just like a stupid thing that I came up with. I mean, Kevin, who did our first two records, was definitely a producer, but he also kind of gave us like free reign, and when we needed a decision to be made, he would help out. But You Deserve Love was like, we did it with Jay Joyce, who was like this fabled producer.
Yeah, it's a big dog.
Awesome. Yeah. And he was really cool. He was just chiefing cigs the whole time. He would always be like ashing on our guitars, like not even realizing it. I thought it was cool. I thought it was funny. But yeah, I mean, that was crazy. Like, that was definitely the most like legit recording experience we've ever done, like even to this day.
Yeah. So, how many songs did you write for that record? Were you in the spot where you were just writing and writing and writing?
I think we had like 11, and we like to do 10 on a record, just 5 on the front, 5 on the back, just because like we think about ourselves, like we don't really want to listen to anything more than like 40 minutes or so. So why should we tire out anybody else? But that's just what we're thinking. But yeah, 10 songs, banged them out, and I mean, yeah, that was crazy. We were like, again, like just couldn't believe that a major label would be like, oh yeah, White Reaper. Like, I mean, it blew our minds for sure. We're like, who decided it would be a good idea to spend this much money on us? I don't know, but you know, thank you.
Yeah, dude. I mean, dude, it's a great record.
Thank you.
It's a really good record. I think Hard Luck is my favorite song on that record. I dig the whole thing though. You know, when you think about like evolving as a writer, as a band, album to album, you know, are you concerned about like, you know, some bands are like, writers are really concerned about pushing the envelope or doing something different. Other writers are completely comfortable, you know, in their zone, just kind of cranking out inspired tunes, you know, like where do you sit kind of album to album? Are you looking to push yourself as a writer, or is it just whatever comes?
It's a little bit of both. I definitely think we all try to push ourselves and do something that either we haven't done before or that we couldn't have done before.
Yeah.
For sure. And I think there's a lot of that on Asking for a Ride. Like, we definitely tried some shit that just would not have been possible before. But then I also think there's a lot of stuff on Asking for a Ride that could easily have been on like Does It Again, you know? Like,
yeah,
there's definitely some classic Reaper if such a thing exists, you know? But I mean, I definitely think it's fun to like push yourself and try something new and weird, because I don't know. I think it would just be boring if we didn't have like new sounds to throw in the set list. And I think that's the big thing whenever we're writing. It's just like, what does our set list need? So I think we kind of think of it that way.
You know, let's get into Asking for a Ride here, because it's the new record, of course. Stoked to have it coming out January 27th here. And, you know, yeah, man, congrats. I read Jamie Ferguson engineered this record.
Yeah.
And mostly self-produced?
Yeah. 4 songs we did with the producer, and then 6 we did with just Jeremy engineering.
Nice. So was there a desire after the big producer record to kind of strip things down a bit, or was it just how things played out?
I think it was kind of how things played out. I mean, there was definitely a desire, but more than anything, I think it was just how things played out. We booked studio time November of 21 in Seattle with a producer who was just not the right producer for us, and I don't even think we were the right band for that producer. So it didn't super work out, you know, and we kind of left being like, oh man, like, I hope that we don't have to use this, you know, because we didn't know if the label was going to be like, it sounds fine, we're going to put it out, because we're not cool with it. And they were like, no, like whatever you guys want to do, if you don't like it, we'll do it again. We were like, okay, great. So we wrote some more songs, and we're just like, let's just do it with our buddy Jeremy in Nashville and like bang it out and just have fun with it. And so that's what we did, and it feels a lot better now.
It's always rad when you have a label or, you know, just a wherewithal within the band to be like, okay, like this doesn't feel right. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people, a lot of bands, sometimes they think once you're in the studio, you're in the studio, or, you know, once you start something, you can't pull out of it. And it's like, the most important thing is that you make a record that you're proud of and that you're stoked on. And if you go into a situation where the producer's not right, or you're not feeling, you know, like, hey, we got 8 great songs, we want 10 great songs, let's go back and write a little bit. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like that, I think, you know, you're way better off doing something like that than, you know, just committing yourself to a record or a recording situation that is going to, you know, end up with a result that you're not stoked on. You know what I mean?
For sure. I think we were worried about like how it would feel, you know, a couple months or a year into the future with like this record that we weren't stoked on and having to like sell it, you know, like we were just worried that that would have been really bad.
Yeah, dude, that's a nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
That's beyond really bad. I mean, if you're in a band and you're having to like work a record that you don't like.
Yeah, we were like, let's not do that.
Yeah,
please.
let's not do that. Let's not do that, please. What was the writing process like for this record? Like, how does White Reaper write a song?
A lot of times it'll just be me just kind of hammering it out and bring it to the guys. But over COVID, I realized like a huge part for me of like being creative is just like seeing things and like touring and traveling and like being around other bands and like hearing what they listen to or even just seeing their show, you know? And so like, obviously nobody was doing that over COVID. So it like, we got a really slow start to the writing process. And then finally, like when things kind of started opening back up again, we booked this Airbnb like in the middle of nowhere in Arkansas. And it was the first time we'd seen each other since the last show we played, which was at the Troubadour in like early March of 2020. So it was like we booked 10 days in this B&B and like brought all our shit and set it up. But the first like 3 days, we were just goofing off because we were like excited to see each other and hang out. You know? So it was like kind of hard to get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
But eventually we finally did, and it was like we wrote this thrashy song, and we called it "Asking for a Ride" because I didn't bring a car to the Airbnb, or I guess I did, but for whatever reason someone else was using it or something. And I was begging Hunter to take me to a gas station so I could get more Juul pods. And he was like, that'd be cool if we named this song "Asking for a Ride." And I was like, oh yeah, that does sound cool. And eventually we were just like, that would just be cool if we named the record "Asking for a Ride." So it all stems from Juul pods. It all stems from vaping.
Another classic album inspired by vaping. You got a track on there called like Cloudburst or something like that.
Fog Machine.
Yeah, there we go. It is a vaping album.
It's a vaping concept album. The first of its kind.
Nice, man. So, you know, when you guys are working on tunes, you know, for the record, are you the type of guy, are you the type of band that, you know, when you set out to write a record, do you have like a general direction or an idea like, oh, you know, we want to go harder on this record, maybe we want to, you know, go more angular on this record, we want to slow down on this record? Or is it just like, I'm going to just write whatever comes out is going to come out, and we'll let the songs kind of dictate the shape of the record?
That's kind of like what I've always said, is just like, I don't want to put like any sort of like straitjacket on our creative process. Like, let's just kind of see what happens. But this time we definitely wanted to go a little faster and a little harder. And it's just like I was saying, like, I think we just think about like what our live show needs, or what does our live show not have, and putting extra tools on the Batman belt or whatever. And that's kind of the drive behind, I guess, what we were thinking. Is like, what do we need? What do we need for the show? Yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And you know, how long did it take you to record the album?
I mean, it took us a long ass time. It took us a long time to even write the shit, and then, you know, like I was saying, it took us a long time to like find and agree on a producer in a studio, and then we had the November experience that just like didn't work, and then we did like 12 in that studio. We kept 4, and then we did 6 with Jeremy. So yeah, I guess we did it in chunks, but yeah, I mean, it felt like the album was cursed for sure, because like it was like everything that could go wrong did. I think that's Murphy's Law, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's. Oh wait, oh no, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
It's somebody's law. Yeah. I don't know if it's Murphy's, but it's somebody's law. But yeah, we're like, we're so screwed. Like we're destined to break up and just like never see each other again. But we just like fought through it, and now we're super stoked to hit the road for sure.
Yeah, man, that's great. That's, you know, anytime there's adversity in recording or in the studio, it feels like just the weight of the world is on your back, man. Because, you know, when a record and a recording process is going smooth, it's the best feeling. But when it's going bad, man, it's so brutal. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's so brutal, and it's like I'm stoked that you guys were able to fight through it and come out with a record that you're stoked on. When it comes to lyrics, you know, what's the lyrical vibe of the new record, and how do you approach lyrics personally?
So I feel like my philosophy is like either they all hit me at once or I have to like piece it together, you know? So like the first single, Pages, like it all hit me at once, and it was easy. Like, yeah, it either like writes itself or it's going to be the most like annoying process to like hammer it out. So, and like, I have no problem like being like, guys, I don't have anything. Like, what do you think? And so we'll sit around with a notebook and just like literally just like say words. And,
so some kind of monster.
Yeah.
Some kind of monster.
We get like super like scientific with it sometimes, and we think about, you know, syllables and like which like sounds to give purchase to, you know. And yeah, so we did a lot of the songs that way, and then a couple of them was just like me kind of drunk pacing back and forth with my AirPods in, listening to the instrumental demo until I have something.
Yeah.
A lot of it was super collaborative, and I think like most of the time we give priority to like what sounds cooler versus like what like means something, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Like, what do you think is more important, you know, melody or lyrics?
My taste is definitely melody is more important to my taste. In terms of how people consume music, I think it's nice to have both. But at a certain point, you just got to get the song done. And there's plenty of songs that nobody know what the fuck they're about. And it doesn't matter. You know, ideally you can have both, but we just want it to sound cool more than anything. So
yeah, no, I get that, you know, and sometimes it's nice. I feel like, you know, there's usually, you know, when you're writing lyrics, it's usually okay. You want to send a specific message or convey a certain thought, and you want people to know what you're writing about, versus, you know, kind of leaving it for the listener to figure out what the song's about or what it means to them. You know, sometimes laboring too hard over lyrics and trying to, you know, be too specific or something like that, it can almost kind of, keep the listener out a little bit, you know what I mean? So sometimes it's cool just to, you know, just like you're saying, collaborate, do your thing. It might not necessarily come together exactly how you think or hoped it would come together, but someone listening to it is going to get something cool out of it, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't want to have to hold people's hand all the way through a record, you know, just kind of let them have fun in it as they see fit. So, yeah.
And there's nothing worse than like agonizing over like finishing lyrics on a song.
It sucks so bad. It really sucks so bad.
It is the worst. It's like the worst thing in the world. And especially when you're like, it's like when as a writer, you're going to the studio, you're going to track this song today, and you got like 4 lines that you got to write, and you got fucking nothing, and you can't figure it out, and you're like scribbling on the pad while you're tracking vocals.
Yeah.
And you're
For sure. I just think back to like our bassist Sam just kept being like, lyrics don't matter. There's a song on the radio called Wet Ass Pussy. Lyrics don't matter. And I was like,
oh, it's sad. Sam's wrong. I hate to argue with Sam, but Sam's wrong on that one. And WAP, WAP, everyone's singing WAP. That's a terrible example.
There's hoes in this house, man.
Yeah. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's a tough thing. And, for me as a writer, I always kind of wonder what everyone else's lyrical process is, especially, when it's, collaborative or things like that. Like Bronx is the same way. Like I write most of the stuff, but sometimes, Joby will have an idea, or, I'll be like, hey guys, I'm fucking floundering here. I got nothing, and then we'll try to like figure it out together. But it's always like a mixed bag, because this is your 4th album, that's pretty incredible. So at this point, it's a little bit of, you got it figured out, but you're also like, you kind of hit like little pockets and walls and holes that you probably haven't hit yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's weird. Like on Does It Again, the lyrics were so easy. On World's Best, they were super hard. On You Deserve Love, they were easier again. On Asking for a Ride, they were a little difficult. So according to that pattern, the next one should be super easy and no problem at all. So, knock on wood that's the case, but I guess we'll see.
Awesome, man. Awesome. And, when it comes time to record vocals in the studio, what's your vibe? Are you a guy, or can you record in front of all the boys? Are you leave me alone? I need to track this stuff. And how kind of strict are you with your own vocal process?
Not very. I'll record in front of the boys. No problem. Yeah. Cause I also just kind of like, kind of need them there,
Yeah.
Like going back to lyrics, if there's something that we worked on and it's not like singing right or sounding right, it's kind of like, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Is that weird right there? Is that kind of a mouthful, too many syllables? Yeah. It's like, I kind of need them there,
Yeah. It's good to have that kind of, that crew to bounce stuff off of, especially like for me lyrically, we have like in the Bronx, we call it the corny meter. And it's like, like, does that sound corny? Does that sound corny? Because that's like the last thing I like, because you're writing, you're in the zone. You might say some shit that you don't realize, it's going to come out, and you're like, ooh, man, that does not sound good, So it's good to have the guys to kind of bounce stuff off of and be like, okay, make sure everything that gets on the record at least sounds cool or feels good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Gotta have the boys.
Awesome, man. We've talked about tour a little bit here, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but while you guys were kind of, coming out of the pandemic, you guys were we got to talk about the Pearl Jam shows. Okay? Because, you guys have been playing some incredible festivals. Yeah. You got some awesome shows at Pearl Jam. You did some shows with the Killers, who are great friends. And I want to just ask you how that experience was, because obviously for a rock and roll band, you get that, you get to watch a band like Pearl Jam play every night and just kind of see how they do things and absorb that whole arena energy. What was that like for you guys?
So I'll start with the Killers, because I forget what show we played, or one of the first times we opened for a big ass band. I don't even remember who it was, but we were stoked. And then we played the show, and it was like people are still filing into their seats.
Yeah.
So we were like, okay, pressure's kind of off. So that first show with the Killers, it was it was in Arkansas. It was their first time in Arkansas since they were touring Hot Fuss. So it had been 15 years, and it was 20,000 amphitheater sold out. And I was like, don't worry, guys. Don't be nervous. Remember last time? It's people are just filing into the seats. The pressure's off. We walk out there and it's fucking packed. And we were like, oh. But, it was one of the best shows we ever played. I think that the kind of energy of the crowd, we really need that and really feed off that. And it was the same thing with Pearl Jam. You know, it was like the first show was in Berlin in this like dugout, like crazy amphitheater. I said the same thing. I was like, don't worry, guys. People are just going to be filing into the seats. Absolutely not. Packed house. And again, one of the best shows we've ever played. So, I mean, it was really incredible. It was super incredible. And the PJ guys are super, super nice and couldn't have been more welcoming and just kind, you know? And they even carried like all our amps and shit. So like all we had to take was our suitcases and we just flew everywhere. It was so chill. And, you know, not to knock them or anything, but you know, they're a little older, so it's not like a show every day. So we really just got to fuck around in Europe. It was dope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's incredible, man. And you know what an awesome band you know, Pearl Jam is, and the Killers obviously too. And you know, there's really nothing like that experience. I mean, you know, when you're opening, like we got to do shows with the Killers. We opened for the Foo Fighters, and those were like, I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like to be at that level and be, you know, you're headlining that type of, you know, arena on a full tour worldwide. Like that's just, it's so badass. But when you're a part of that, when you get to play those shows, it opens up your whole perspective, right? It's just like, holy shit, like this is so incredible. You guys must have felt, you know, pretty amazing playing those shows. You know, were there moments where you were looking at each other like, holy fuck, what's going on here?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we played on like a Formula One track in Imola, Italy, and it was like, I mean, there was like 40,000 people in just blistering heat and like tons of delay towers. I mean, it was like the biggest show we've ever played, like ×5, you know. And going into Italy, they lost like all our bags, so we didn't have any clothes. We were wearing like day old outfits, just sweating through them again, and we just like we didn't give a shit at all because it was the coolest thing in the world to be doing, you know. So like that was definitely a time when we were all just like looking at each other like, I don't know why we're here, but it fucking rules.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, you're there because you deserve it, you know. And I think that there's definitely something to be said about bands like that taking you guys out because, you know, I think that there's a reason why guys like Pearl Jam, bands like the Killers, you know, appreciate you guys. It's because, you know, one, you're a real band. You write great songs. You seem to be doing it for the right reasons, and yeah, man. And it's just, you know, music is a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And I think you guys are an incredible group, and I'm so stoked about the new record. You know, for the headliner tour here, you know, you guys are heading out on the Asking for a Ride tour in February. You know, a lot of great bands coming out with you. Military Gun, you got Taipei, Houston, Malarkey, Narrowhead. Super cool. There's a lot of great bands out right now. Young up and coming bands, whether it's punk rock, hardcore, rock and roll. There's a really cool vibe, and I'm so stoked for you guys to finally be going out on a headliner. You know, a lot of bands nowadays, they're playing 30 minutes, you know, they're playing 40 minutes tops. You guys got 4 records now, a new one. What's your set length at? Are you guys playing an hour, or are you guys part of the half-hour crew?
No, we're doing an hour. We actually talked about it yesterday, and we like kind of went through all the albums. You're like, what might we want to play off this one? We had this list.
Yeah.
We're like, holy shit, we're gonna do an hour for sure.
Hell yeah. And people can get tickets for the tour at whitereaper.com. Make sure you go see the band. Make sure you get the new album. You got a favorite track on the new album?
I like Fog Machine. I don't know. It might be changing to Pink Slip. Man, I don't know. Actually,
yeah, Pink Slip's great. Fog Machines. I mean, all the singles have been so good, man. They're really, really cool. And you know, you got such a great voice when it comes to. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's so cool. What do you like? What do you consider yourself more of? Guitar player, singer? Where you at? What do you love doing more? Playing guitar or singing?
I mean, I think I like to sing more. I feel like I'm better at it. I'm a guitarist that can get by, but I feel a little better about my ability to sing. I love both of them, but I don't know, man. There's just kind of this like idiot glee about singing sometimes, you know, and like and then there's nights when you're like feeling it and you do like some crazy shit, like, you know, like, and I don't know. I think it's a little more fun, and I'm a little better at singing, I'd say, than guitar. So I'd have to go with that.
For me as well, I love singing in a band. It's like the greatest thing ever in life.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful opportunity to be able to go out and play shows and record records and express yourself. So right on, Tony. Appreciate your time, man, here on the Sailor Jerry podcast.
Thank you so much.
Super stoked to have you on. Yeah, one last question for you.
Sure.
It's a little bit of a doozy, but I ask it of everybody.
Okay.
So what to you is the meaning of life?
The meaning of life, I think it's just to be happy with where you are and where you're going, and happy with the people that you're with. And to me, that's it. And I feel like I've got that at this point in time. So that's what it is to me.
Awesome, Tony. I appreciate your time. Say what's up to the rest of the band.
Absolutely.
White Reaper, Asking for a Ride, out January 27th. Congratulations to you guys, man.
Thanks,
Super
Matt.
stoked. Can't wait for the new record. And right on, man. Have a good rest of the week.
You too, man. Thanks again.
All right. Take care, brother.
Later.
Oh, yeah. That's a wrap on episode 54 of the Sailor Jerry podcast. As always, huge amounts of respect and gratitude to our guest, the one and only Tony Esposito of White Reaper. Tony, thank you very much for your time, my man. It was awesome getting to rap with you about music and life. Of course, you can get the new White Reaper album anywhere online. You can stream it. You can buy it. You can get the vinyl at their website, whitereaper.com. Get tickets to the upcoming February tour. Do what you can to support the band. I'm sure they would appreciate it. You can follow the band at White Reaper on Instagram. You can follow me at 213MattMan. You can follow Sailor Jerry, of course, at Sailor Jerry. And, don't forget, above all else, that Sailor Jerry Spice Rum is still made the old school way. 92 proof, bold, and smooth as hell. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace.